Welcome everybody to Eco Physiotherapy Presents Health, Wellness, and Lifestyle. My name is Madeline Golick. I'm the owner of Eco Physiotherapy as well as the pelvic floor physiotherapist here. And my guest today is Nasreen, so welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really interested to learn a little bit more about you and what you do. So I figured probably the best place to start is tell us and the audience a little bit about you.
Okay, who am I? I was born and raised in Japan. And that's where Reiki originated, but Usui Reiki originated in Japan. And how did I end up going to Japan? My great-grandfather decided to say, on his journey on the way to China when he was doing trading, he said, this looks like a good spot. Let me just see how it feels. And he decided to start living in Japan.
Amazing. Is that where he met your mom, or...?
No, my great-grandfather.
Sorry, yes.
So,
great-grandfather, yes.
But then Japan and India is not that far away. It's about 8 hours by flight. Time difference is, I think, about 3.5 hours. So I was born and raised in Japan, but I did often go back to India. So I feel like I'm really blessed that I have the two ancient cultures with me. And now here in Canada, I have best of all worlds, right?
Yes. Oh, that's so interesting. So then your great-grandfather was in Japan, and did your parents, so you were born and raised there, so your parents...
They
decided to stay in Japan, not in India. Okay.
Yes, that's right. It's just the family was there, so we all, lived there. And I thoroughly liked, and as a child, my first language was Japanese. I could barely say my name is Nasreen when I was in early school. And then my parents decided, this girl doesn't speak English, and, I think she needs to learn a little bit of Indian culture. Let's send her to the boarding school. And so I was sent to a boarding school in India, and that's where I learned my English, embraced my Indian culture.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. It must be so different, but so... I always find it's amazing when you can bring two seemingly different things together, and it just sort of blends into this new, beautiful world view.
Yes.
And approach. Okay, so I want to talk about what led you then to the Reiki. Was it something you came across in school, or how did that come about?
I'm a practical person. So if I can't see it, I can't really believe it. Although I dabble in horoscope and I love astrology and things like that. And I know that there are things that you cannot see, but not enough to understand that it can affect me and really help me. So it was my mother. She learned Reiki because of her needs. She explored different modalities and ended up with Reiki. And, as a child, I'm her guinea pig.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Nice.
So she would practice on me, and I'm like, I don't feel anything, but, it's my mom. You have to do what you have to do.
Yes.
She relearned Reiki with the Japanese Reiki Association, and through them, I got the opportunity to translate their Reiki textbook into English. So that's how I got my theory part first.
Oh.
And I understood theoretically, but even then, I wasn't really embracing it because I couldn't feel it still. But the turning point came when we went to India for a goodwill tour, and we went to a village where the doctors are not easily available to try and promote Reiki and say, you can learn and you can heal yourselves. And we had this massive circle. We were about 20 practitioners, the family and friends, plus the villagers, so maybe, 1,600 people. And it was a huge circle in the outdoors. I was in the center with my Reiki teacher who was speaking in Japanese. I was translating her words so people could understand. And that's when I actually felt the Reiki. And I can't really describe it, but I'm like, yes. And that was the turning point. And I said, yes, I will learn. I will get attuned. I relearned again from level 1 properly with the Japanese Reiki Association. And here I am.
Wow. Amazing.
It was.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think, for myself, because I did train in Usui Reiki as well, I think with sort of the energy modalities, you sort of have to experience it to really know and, feel it. It's definitely a much harder concept to sort of wrap your mind around, even scientifically, because how do you measure energy, and I know that there's a lot of scientists who are working on, well, how do we know that there's, the electromagnetic field, and we know that energy is there. I mean, even from astronomy, like, they knew that there was a matter, but they couldn't figure it out until they figured out it was dark matter or antimatter. So it's almost like we know it's there, but we just don't know how to describe and sense it and feel it until sort of the technology comes along that allows us to that. So I think with the energy modalities, you sort of have to feel
True.
To know.
Very true. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so maybe what is the official kind of definition, or how do you talk to people about what is Reiki?
So generally, Reiki here, when people say what is Reiki, first of all, they are referring to Usui Reiki in general.
Yes, okay.
And that originated in Japan not too long ago. And over here, when people say Reiki, they are referring to the energy healing modality that helps with their physical ailment. But originally, the founder, Mikao Usui, intended Reiki for spiritual. He intended it to be a spiritual practice for oneself, for you to attain ultimate peace of mind. And Reiki, to me, is exactly that. It is a wellness practice for myself, for my well-being, and for my general, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health.
Okay, so it's like an all-encompassing, we're all looking to find balance in life,
yes,
right? Between these different realms, the emotional, the mental, the physical. And of course, I think sometimes we leave out that spiritual part that, we don't give sometimes enough credit to its impact on our health and well-being, because to me, spirituality is the connection really to everything. It's
exactly.
It's exploring, what's my purpose here? Why am I here? Is there something greater than myself?
Right, yeah.
Okay, so that's an interesting perspective, because I think that for me, my understanding, I guess, where does the chakras come in? Is the chakras something part of the Japanese, or is that something?
The chakra is from the Vedic studies in India. So see,
okay, so
I love it.
a beautiful blend.
So Reiki is a modality that adds on very well with other modalities. It's like it, and because it is so simple, all you do is connect, and then you've got to place your hands where it's needed. So because it's so simple, it's difficult for people to build on a practice, right? For other people, and for someone to just come and say, and then you explain, I said, all I do is just connect. And so then why are you taking, why you're charging me if you're just connecting? And I can do it myself too. And I'll come to that you can actually do it yourself.
Yes.
So that's why I feel that a lot of us Reiki practitioners tend to add on Reiki with other modalities, or other things like crystals, a popular thing, and chakras, because again, those are energy centers. So if you focus Reiki on those energy centers, then obviously it will multiply and focus, and it will affect in the right way. So
how would you define a chakra? Because I'm sure people are like, okay, you're saying chakra, you're saying energy center, what exactly are you talking about?
Oh. Oops.
Yeah.
But there are 7 energy centers in your body that revolve. So that's an Indian way, and I think in Chinese medicine too, you have meridians.
Yes. Yes.
And with the acupuncture points, again, there are points where you focus on, and that's where. So different studies have established their own systems, and they've established that these are the energy centers. So because the energy is something you can't see, it's not part of your physical body, but it surrounds you, and it affects you. It's the frequency. So it's just that those 7 centers are determined to be the main places where it affects different parts of your body in different ways.
Right. Okay, like, so for example, like the solar plexus, even from a biological physiology perspective, we really do have a lot of nerve endings
Right.
here that then spread out to have to affect different organs and systems. So even from a biological perspective, bringing and freeing up the energy in really does also talk to the nervous system from that perspective. But from what I understand, the solar plexus is like your connection to self, how you view yourself, how you feel about yourself. So would that be a correct sort of...
Yeah, there are different yeah.
For simplicity.
Yes, that's right.
And so by working on this area, that can also help to translate to understand self better.
That's
and
right.
free. So you can affect both biologically and physiologically, but energetically and emotionally as well.
That's true.
These centers do have their emotional connections as well as their other physiological connections as well.
That's right, yes.
Okay. So why what is something somebody wouldn't know about energy healing that you've discovered in your learning practice that you just find totally fascinating and would love to share?
So energy healing, well, yeah, I'm going to be specific to Reiki.
Yeah.
Reiki is something that's really simple, that it really amazes me, because really all you do is connect and place your hands. Once you've established the connection with the Reiki energy and the energy is passing through you, I could be watching TV and doing self-healing. And another thing probably people don't realize about Reiki is that as a practitioner, when I am doing a session to someone else, I am benefiting almost as much as the person receiving Reiki from me.
So where's the energy for you coming from? Because I think, there are practitioners out there who may not necessarily be practicing well, that they might actually be taking their own life force and transferring it. So really Reiki's, when you say connection, what do you mean? What are you connecting to?
So Reiki is the energy of the universe, which is out there. It's within yourself as well. And it's the same energy. So I'm just tapping into this energy from here and bringing it back into me. So if you are practicing Reiki correctly, properly, then you are not using your own energy.
Yes.
It's the energy of the universe that you are, I don't even like to use the word channeling, because you're not really manipulating, but just gathering and bringing it through you and then passing it on to your clients.
So tell me, what would a session look like? So somebody's coming in to see you. Maybe let's start with, what would somebody come in to see a Reiki practitioner for? Well, like, what are some things that you see in your practice?
So when somebody, for example, say depression, somebody's feeling really low and really don't know what to do, and don't know where to go.
Yes.
But do understand that I do need to reach out. Sometimes it's themselves, sometimes it's the family member who says, I can see that something needs to be done, and they bring the person over. So the first thing we would do is just do a general Reiki session.
Okay.
With only Reiki, and to find out what's going on energetically with the person, where are the blockages and what are the things. And that's something actually also fascinates me, that Reiki speaks to you. That's something that I would never have understood without this. But so through that, I'm able to understand what's going on. And then we have subsequent sessions. Generally, it's advisable if they can come on a daily basis, it would be great, but otherwise that's not practical in today's age. So it's usually on a weekly basis for about another 7 to 10 sessions.
Yes.
And to enhance the effect of Reiki, we do use crystals.
Okay.
So if you just had Reiki by itself and practiced on your own, you did 24/7, that would be great. But because that's not possible, we realized that using crystals does help.
Okay.
Crystals multiply the Reiki energy. So we use Reiki energized crystals in our practice. So we just do generally, and yes, we do bring in the chakras.
Yes.
So we do chakra balancing. We do settle the energy and just get the person grounded. And then remove all the blockages, the negative energy that's accumulated over the years and try and get the energy moving, just like the blood circulation.
Yes,
you
yes,
need
yeah.
your energy to be moving. Once the energy starts to move, then we want to build on the energy, because the Reiki energy is essentially your own healing power.
Yes.
And when the person is in a low, depressed state, your energy level has really depleted. So you have the capacity of 100% level, but in this day and age, people seem to be working on 20 and 30%. And just like money, if you have something less, it's difficult to multiply, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah,
You have
yeah.
something more, it's easier to replenish and make more. So
Yes.
it's same with energy. When you have 20% and then you use up with something, it gets half, that's 10%. But if you had 80% of your capacity and you used up half, you still have 40, so you're still better off.
You're still able to muster enough energy to
do something
to
else
do something
to make it better.
that adds energy to your life, right?
Right.
If you're low energy, then you might not have. I'm just this example is just kind of coming to mind, right? Like if I don't have the energy to go out and get nutritious food and put together this beautiful meal that's there to help replenish my energy,
Yes.
right? Like so. Having more energy allows us to have the energy to do the things that helps us regenerate.
Yes, it is kind of a vicious cycle, but
It is, yeah, I know.
so the energy, so by doing a Reiki session, you are able to circulate the energy, and then eventually you start to replenish that your energy capacity and build it up. And once you are there at a certain level, then when we know that, and it's usually a mutual understanding that, yeah, I think I'm good and I can handle myself. So we bring you up to that energy level where you feel comfortable to go out there and then look for things you can do on your own. Sometimes that could be learning Reiki and doing Reiki by yourself, or it could be something else. But
Yeah. Are there any risks to the treatment?
no, Reiki is 100% positive. It has no adverse reaction. Like Reiki is positive. You cannot use Reiki for evil.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, you cannot use Reiki for bad. So, but there is something called a healing crisis, which is not only for Reiki. It could be for any wellness modality or anything. And what that is that in the course of getting better, you might feel worse before you start feeling better.
Yes, yes.
Right. So the example would be a water, and over the years you've gone through stuff and you've built up. The water seems clear, but the sediment is down. It's settled. And when you do Reiki, that sediments get stirred up and the water gets mucky again. So you feel like, ooh, what's going on? But then because you're doing Reiki, that water will come up to the brim and it starts overflowing. So the sediments will come out and the water will get clear. And that's when you'll be whole.
Feeling much more
Yeah.
grounded. And that's interesting because, I mean, even in physiotherapy practice, we have the healing crisis
Yeah.
because as we sort of address one layer, sometimes things from underneath come forward that the person might not have known was there because it was being covered over by the thing that was the most painful. So you address that, and
Right, yeah.
then the next thing kind of pops up that might take the person by surprise because they didn't know that there was something
Right.
underneath.
Yeah.
But also in the case of trauma, individuals who have experienced or undergone, trauma, let's say in younger years,
Right, yeah.
right? Sometimes those memories and things don't come up until later on or
Right.
until certain things happen. And sometimes in different treatment modalities, as people get better, they create the space and the readiness to deal with the next underlying problem, right?
Right, yeah.
And then
yeah.
that comes to the surface, which may seem like, oh my God, you fixed this, but then, this came up.
Right.
But that is sometimes part of the healing journey. And even in physiotherapy, we say, the healing journey is not a straight line
No.
upwards. It has its ups and downs, its
Right.
creeks and its valleys. What we want to see is that there's that gradual incline, but it's not a straight line. It's more of a,
True.
kind of an up and down. And, these different modalities are all here to help that person be able to get through that particular challenge. Like we're here to help you move through those challenges so that you can
Yeah.
then be more energized and more prepared to then take on the next challenge. Because I'd like to know anybody in this lifetime who doesn't experience a challenge consecutively, you know, throughout our lifetimes, right? Because that's how we learn and grow. So,
Exactly.
okay. So that's good to know, and I'm glad you brought up that point. If you could offer one tip or piece of advice to help someone on their journey to, let's say, self-discovery, what would it be?
So nothing happens overnight. You need to take time. So you need to take time for yourself. Example with Reiki. Reiki is so simple. And yes, when I am healing or giving a session to my clients, I sometimes neglect my self-Reiki sessions. But when I'm feeling really low, you know, in the change of seasons, when I have cold, I know that I need to spend that much time doing self-healing so that I can get back and have that extra energy to deal with the negative that is about to happen. And I can't do that with just saying that, oh, you know, I've done a Reiki session with a client. I've had Reiki go through me, so that's good. No, I need to spend time on myself, even if it's 5 minutes, but just, you know. So I think that's my message, that you do need to take time.
And I think that would be for anybody, really, right? Think about, you know, the mom that does everything for everybody and doesn't take time for herself.
Exactly.
Think, you know, even, you know, physiotherapist, massage therapist, psychotherapist, anybody who's in, you know, really in the healing arts, you know, we spend so much time helping to heal others.
Right.
We need just as much
Definitely.
to heal ourselves. And so you brought up the whole like self-care and self-love, and you also talked about Reiki, you know, learning and practicing for yourself. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, are you training people
yes,
in
I
Reiki
do.
practice?
I do train people in Reiki practice, and I use, as I said, Japan Reiki Association as textbook at my studio, Japan Reiki Studio. Sorry, my thoughts.
That's okay.
So we do the traditional way. So Japan Reiki Association is striving to bring back, or trying to say that Reiki originated like this. And because, as I mentioned, Reiki is so simple, people, and it's a verbal form of teaching originally.
Yes.
So obviously the teacher's input does come in a lot. And so after so many generations, or, you know, so many people in the world, sometimes it's a little different. Like, your understanding of Reiki could be a little different from mine.
Yes,
So
yes.
Japan Reiki Association is trying to say, you know, bring the facts back and say, originally it was like this. So what they teach and what I teach is that, to tell you that this is the original form, here it is, and the Western form and the Japanese form has kind of separated as well a little bit.
Right.
So we give you both and say, this is it. And then after that, then I'll say, okay, now here is my input, so that you know clearly
Where the information
information is. So
Right.
for the chakras, I will not teach anything to do with chakras in the first beginning when I'm teaching Reiki itself.
Yes.
But if you want to learn, then yes, we can, you know, talk about it later.
Incorporate.
Yes.
And so you're running like classes and courses that
Yes.
people can take to learn these techniques.
Definitely, yes.
Okay.
So yeah, Reiki has 3 levels: level 1, 2, and 3. If you just want to do Reiki for yourself, essentially level 1 is more than enough, because that is for healing yourself.
Okay.
And Reiki level 2, but usually people get fascinated and interested, then you're like, oh, I want to do Reiki 2. And
Yeah.
Reiki 2 is when you can learn to do Reiki distance healing and Reiki for other people.
Okay.
But we don't restrict, even with level 1, you can, you know, treat your family members and your friends, and that's not a problem,
Absolutely.
yeah. And Reiki level 3 is more for living with Reiki and understanding that place of getting to ultimate peace of mind.
Okay. So like 3 is the step where you're sort of now, it's like incorporating into your lifestyle,
Yes.
in your worldview, in the way that you approach each and every aspect of your life.
Yes, exactly.
And I understand it to be sort of like the more mastery level, right? I mean,
Yes.
because you've obviously gained all sorts of experience in level 1 and 2, and then I guess 3 is like, how do you actually apply this as a lifestyle?
Exactly, yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's the teacher's training if you want to be doing that.
If you want to be
Yeah.
doing that. Amazing. So, for our listeners, if you're interested in learning more, whether it's about having treatments or learning Reiki, we will have your contact information available at the end of the show, so that, you know, people can contact you and ask more
Okay.
questions. So any closing words? I really enjoyed our conversation and learning
Thank you.
more about Reiki. So
Thank you very much. Oh yes, I do offer something called Reiki Cafe, which is a place where you can experience the Reiki in a group setting. And the cost to attending that is your enthusiasm for your own wellness, taking charge of your wellness. If you're enthusiastic about that, then you're welcome to come and join.
okay, when is that?
It happens about three times a month. At different timings, once evening, once Sunday, and once the morning.
Okay, and so this is group, what's the word? A Reiki sharing?
So it's not a typical Reiki share
Okay.
in that I welcome non-practitioners as well.
Oh, okay.
So if you're a Reiki practitioner, you're welcome to come and practice. You can bring a friend who is not a practitioner, so they can experience what Reiki is, ask questions about Reiki, and you know, maybe
Okay.
it's a chance for you to meet and talk with me before coming for a session. I think that's very important too.
Yeah, to make
So-
sure it's a right fit and a good connection.
Yes.
I think that's an amazing, amazing idea and an amazing opportunity for those who might be interested but are not sure
Yes.
if it's the right fit for them. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful.
Awesome, and thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.